Hello, welcome to my review of chapter 10,081 of One Piece. This chapter is titled The 10th Titanic Captain of the Blackbeard Pirates, Captain Kuzan. So, we finally get confirmed by Oda that Kuzan is in fact part of the Blackbeard crew. He's already gotten so much screen time and spent so much time with the Blackbeard Pirates that it was pretty much obvious. Like, he's gotten more screen time with the pirates than, like, actual members of the crew, like Pizarro and Shiryu. This chapter is mostly about Kuzan, but we also get a little bit about Law near the end. And, like this video and subscribe to the channel, and let's get into the chapter. So let's start out, like always, with the cover page. This cover page, we get a cool color spread of the men on the Straw Hat crew, so not Nami or Robin. They're just chilling out, taking a nap with some squirrels. Well, most of them are napping, except Sanji, who's awake reading a book. So we start the actual chapter by seeing another angle of Garp's galaxy impact that he used last chapter. I'll admit, this time, from this angle, it doesn't look as impressive as before, but it was still extremely powerful nonetheless. And so Garp's ship is falling behind him with some other Marines on board, like Helmeppo and Tashigi. And the impact of the ship is saved or softened by Prince Groose. He used an attack called Clamulonimbus to soften the blow, which shows another use of his fruit. Rather than just the golems, he could also use it in like a Logia way, which shows that the fruit is pretty good. Anyway, we get back to Garp, and he's upset that his move was too weak, which is ironic because it was super strong, and it took out a big chunk of the town. I guess like back in his prime, he would have been able to blow up like a full town probably. So all the Marines that were on Hachinosu are luckily alive, like Kobe and Hibari. Prince Groose and Kujaku, they talk about how overboard Garp went with his attack, which is funny because Garp thought he went underboard with it. Underboard isn't a word, but alright. So Kobe and Hibari see Garp and they start running towards him, like thankful that he came to save. Kobe's thankful that he came to save him. And suddenly Hibari turns to ice. And now, who other could it be but Captain Kuzan, the name of the chapter, who turned her into ice. And now Kuzan, he's facing off with Garp. Kobe on the side, he's begging for Kuzan to turn Hibari back, because Kobe probably thinks of Kuzan as still a good guy. He was a Marine. And as Kuzan faces Garp, his flashback begins. So Kuzan's flashback takes place on an island. It takes place in the 2-year time skip near the end. The island that it takes place on isn't named. It has some weird rock formations on it that look kind of like balloons. Blackbeard barges into the bar where Kuzan is on the island, because we see that Sandman Wolf and the rest of the crew, but primarily Sandman Wolf because he's big, are turned to ice. And Kuzan tells it that that's their fault for attacking first. Kuzan's not in a good mood because he's still like mentally recovering from his fight with Akainu on Punk Hazard. But as they argue and seem to be about to fight, it then cuts to them having a good time. The problem must have been resolved with alcohol, and the whole crew comes along with Blackbeard and is also having a good time. Kuzan makes a quick funny joke about Akainu. Kuzan also does a cool party trick by ripping off his leg, which was made of ice, so he didn't actually rip off his leg. But then they start talking about road poneglyphs, still like in a joking way. And they think Kuzan, they talk about how it's a man with a burn scar. Kuzan's like, it could be me. obviously he's joking. It can't be Kuzan now. This chapter confirms it. But it also kind of confirms that it's might not be Saul, which was the main theory. They talk about how uh, the man with the burn scar travels on a black ship and causes whirlpools to anyone who tries to attack. Um, well, I don't think Saul, it could be Saul because he's incapable of doing that. Shiryu theorizes that it could be a member of the world government, which would be a smart move on their part to keep one of the road poneglyphs for themselves. It could even be Im-sama himself or herself. Kuzan reminisces about Ohara when they talk about road poneglyphs, but he didn't see any road poneglyphs on Ohara, is what he tells them. And then, meanwhile, Lafayette loudly whispers to Blackbeard that they should take Kuzan's devil fruit. Kuzan, since he whispered so loud and badly, hears this, and he starts to attack everybody. He starts just shooting ice everywhere until Blackbeard yells at him to stop. And with this, Blackbeard offers Kuzan to join his crew. I don't know if it was on the whim or if he was planning on doing this all along. Blackbeard entices Kuzan with the fact that they both share like common goals to create changes in the world. And Kuzan has nothing better to do, so he accepts the offer. It's still possible that Kuzan's a member of Sword, but from this chapter, it kind of disproves that. But it could just be all his plan. Alright, now we come back to Kuzan and Garp in the present. And so Kuzan, he denies that to return to the Marines, because that's what Garp is begging him to do. But he says that Garp was honestly a role model for him, and Kuzan kind of shapes his character on what Garp was. To be honest, Garp is a freeloader. He doesn't really have a job in the Marines, and Kuzan, he wanted to be like him. So that's kind of what he's doing now with joining the Blackbeard crew. And then, so he turns Garp into ice, or he traps him in an ice ball. And with Haki, Garp easily breaks out. And then he grabs Kuzan by the neck and slams him into the ground, creating a big hole. And then we'll cut back to that maybe again, but that's it for this chapter. And then, now the final scene of the chapter, we go to Winter Island. As expected, Blackbeard beat Law and his crew. The Polar Tang is like completely destroyed and sinking under the water. And Law and Beppo are the only ones left of the Heart Pirates. And then Blackbeard is talking to Law about how he's gonna take his fruit. And then, but in the background, Beppo, he's getting all mad, and he transforms into a Sulong. Which, how did he do that? Well, he transformed into Sulong from drugs that Chopper gave him. It wasn't from a full moon, since it's midday. So Beppo, after just one quick attack, he grabs Law. They go back into the water to escape. Since Beppo can't swim, he's not a devil fruit user. But with that, the Heart Pirates were defeated, except for Law and Beppo. But to be honest, Law and Beppo are the whole crew anyway, in terms of manpower. And that's the end of the chapter 1081. There will be a break next week. It was confirmed by Oda, but this was another banger chapter. I didn't expect to get more of Garp, since Oda's tendency of switching between storylines, but we did, and it was pretty nice. Maybe next chapter we'll finally return to the main storyline in Egghead Island, because it's honestly been a while since we've been there. And so, like and subscribe if you made it this far, and I'll see you in the next video.